Hello, this is Brave Sir Robin coming to you from Parts Unknown. Here today to talk about some of the top news stories in wrestling from the past week and give my thoughts and opinions on them. As some of you may have noticed, I did skip this last week. I actually ended up doing so because I didn't feel there was enough interesting stories to talk about because of... Well, the only one I really thought that people were talking about on a lot of sites was John Cena's divorce, and I'm not going to get into wrestlers' personal lives like that. I'm not going to give my opinion on that. So let's talk about what I thought was interesting this week was... Well, I'm going to give my own personal account on something that's been a big newsmaker. From Ring of Honor, they had some troubles with their last iPPV, the Border Wars iPPV. I even talked about this briefly last time I did this video. From my own personal account, I did order the show in advance and all that, because I really did look forward to checking this show out, and I actually believed their promises at the time. I ordered the show, and they did a test run beforehand, or so they claim, where they showed a Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk match from years ago, and they had some troubles then, but they said, okay, now we work the kinks out. There's going to be no problems with the iPPV. Everything was the fault of the provider last time, not theirs, blah, 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 blah. And, well, there was a whole big fucking mess. Like I said, I ordered the show about half hour before I put it onto the website to get ready for it to start. There's a little countdown on there. And I kept getting kicked from the site, and okay, that's not right. So I'm getting kicked from the site. I did manage to log back in. I actually managed to stay on there with the countdown. Made it all the way to 0. Then the pay-per-view never started, and again, I was kicked out of the site. I go onto Twitter to see what's going on, and there's a lot of people online talking about having the same problems and unable to see the show, which really sucks because I paid for it days in advance. 55 minutes later, ROH finally acknowledges the troubles on their Facebook page. You know, they're giving the whole big apology, the whole big spiel. That's not acceptable. 55 minutes later, they should have been acknowledging this within 10 minutes at most. So I really don't think that's right. And so, regardless, myself and a lot of other people, a few people did see the show, some missed the whole thing. I actually got to see the last 3 matches, which were good, but still, I missed 2 hours of the show. That's not right. I do get to see that. I get to see that. The next day they're offering either a refund, or if you don't take the refund, you get access to the replay, and you get the next iPay-per-view Best in the World for free. I took the refund because I felt that missing 2 hours of a live show wasn't acceptable. The reason and the replay I didn't care about at all because if I wanted the replay that I can watch whenever I wanted, I would have just waited for the DVD. I paid for the experience of watching the show live. I wanted to see Davey Richards vs. Kevin Steen live, which I did see. The only match I didn't get to see that I wanted to was Lance Storm and Mike Bennett, but that's alright, I guess. But either way, I paid to see a live show, so that's why I felt I was entitled to the refund, which I did take. And that's why I didn't care about the free access to the replay or the next iPay-per-view for free, because, well, quite simply, they burned a lot of people, and now they gotta earn my trust back. I'm not going to order the next iPay-per-view because what if the same thing happens then? Am I going to get another free iPay-per-view that I don't get to see live even though I planned a night around it? No, that's not right. I took my refund. I'm still supporting ROH. I'll still buy the DVD of this same show when it comes out, and I'll buy other DVDs that they're releasing. But that's just it. I paid for a live show and they fucked up, and there's no one to blame this time but themselves. So that's my opinion on what happened with ROH, and as everybody heard, a lot of people did feel the same way. I really hope they're not hurt by this, but there has been a decline in their production values since they've been taken over by Sinclair Broadcasting. Just gotta call it what it is. It really sucks to say. I do like ROH. I'm a firm believer of supporting indie wrestling, but like I said, I paid to see a live show. I didn't get a live show, so I took my money back. They've gotten it back because I ordered some more DVDs since, or I will, but that's it. Hopefully, if I hear reviews about Best in the World and I'm told there was no troubles at all, then I'll get back into ordering iPay reviews from them. But right now they've lost my trust because of that. So the next iPay reviews I'll be ordering, Shikara has one coming up, and I'll be checking that out for damn sure because I love Shikara, and other ones as well, but not from Ring of Honor. Too bad though. Here's my thoughts on that. So on TNA news, we have the newest acquisition of the TNA roster. Well, not as a wrestler, I guess. Not yet, anyway. Well, don't be surprised. Of all the people they could be hiring, a lot of great talent on the indies floating around who could use a good paycheck. They hire Brooke Hogan to be in charge of the Knockouts division in a Karen Angle type role. Or Karen Jarrett, whatever else she's called. Why the fuck would you hire Brooke Hogan for anything for that matter? Bad enough we got Garrett Bischoff on TV, now we need Brooke Hogan. Christ. I mean, she's got no talent, her singing career sucked. I mean, they're advertising pop songs on a wrestling show that, that don't mesh. Only, pure nepotism at its best right here. One of the reasons to show why TNA has gone downhill. And you know what? I've said this on Twitter. As a woman herself, I think Dixie Carter should be damn ashamed for her role in the decline of mainstream women's wrestling. The Knockouts division used to be awesome, but as a female promoter herself, she should be ashamed that her division has sunk so much. Like Vince McMahon, I can forgive him. He's an idiot. He doesn't know. He's a white guy who doesn't know what, it's the rich, stereotypical white guy who doesn't know what the typical middle-class person wants. And he's out of touch with reality now. That much is clear. But Dixie Carter, as a woman herself, should know better. That's why I come down so hard on her. This is pathetic. Like, there's any reasons why I haven't watched TNA in months. Also in TNA news, Tony Nese has been released from his contract. Like I said, I haven't watched TNA in a long time. I really can't remember which one he was. I think he was one of the guys who had a good tryout back in last year's Destination X, but now he's gone now. This kind of goes to say something about TNA, where a guy decides he's better off on the independents than on their show. The way I understand it is, if you're not used on TV, you don't get paid, but they tried to prevent him from going to some show in New Jersey. He's supposed to wrestle the Great Muta, and he decided to take his release because of that, because he wanted to go do that. Because if you're not on TNA TV, you don't get paid, and he wanted to go and do an indie and get paid, and they wanted to prevent it, so he took his release. Kind of a sad state of affairs, though, that it came to that. I mean, I'm sure the guy was talented enough that he deserved to be there, but that is what it is. That's why TNA is the Bush League that it is. And some good news for TNA, though. Austin Aries has re-signed his contract, which is pretty cool. One of the few highlights that is on the program is Austin Aries, so it is great to see him back. It was funny because I saw the headline on a wrestling news site, and due to a typo, they had Austin Aries resigns, which I thought was a big shock, but no, he re-signed. Big difference. One of the best things going. And it is cool that Austin Aries is getting such a good run, because this time last year, or before he was in TNA, it actually looked like he was close to retirement if he didn't make it big. So I am glad to see him. The guy's damn talented and deserves to be on TV, no matter what fit he's in. I mean, I don't know what WWE was thinking turning him down for Tough Enough for that time. But he is making a good career for himself in TNA, and I hope it continues. And I'm glad to see that it will for at least another year. So in some sadder news, there's some... At a porn convention, like, I didn't even know those existed, China was repeatedly hospitalized after passing out on 2 consecutive days at the same convention. Apparently she was partying hard and all that stuff. It really is sad, the downfall of China, I mean, I'm not going to call her great. I didn't love watching China, but she had some accomplishments. She was the first female Intercontinental Champion. She was a memorable character, but her downfall is just so sad to know. I really hope she would get her act together and get her life together and not end up just a bad statistic to make wrestling look bad or end up dying or something like that. Like, just one of those stories. I'm just sick of seeing those stories, especially ever since, like, the whole thing years ago with Chris Benoit and the types. Like, just so sad that it's pretty clear she's going to end up like the same things herself. Like, just she's going to be found dead in a hotel room someday, and I really hate to hear that. So hopefully she can get her act back together and get back on her feet. I mean, a wrestling return is probably the question. Nobody's going to touch her now. Maybe TNA again. They'll hire anybody, but that's it. I really hope China gets her act together and can get back on her feet and not end up being another bad statistic. So there's my thoughts and opinions of the world of wrestling this week. Make sure if you liked what you saw, you can check out my other videos, and make sure you follow me on Twitter and like my Facebook. So until next time, this is Brave Sir Robin. Here's me and my Dalek signing off, and I'll see you next time.